Hey everybody, it's Thursday afternoon time for the shop update here at Woodsmith. We've got a lot of fun things going on today, and we'll start with Mark over at his bench and then take a swing through the finishing room.
Hey everyone, I'll touch base on the Archstock bookcase in a second. As I'm waiting for stain to dry, I'm working on a little project for my wife's office, so I'm going to build her a pedestal table. So she showed me a picture that she found off Restoration Hardware that she wanted me to replicate, and I'm like, yeah, sounds great, but when it comes to making 60 of these pieces of walnuts rounded over on the edges, then you have to sand it. I was like, it's going to seem like a bad idea, but I'm halfway through almost, so what's going to happen, these are going to be tacked onto here and glued to form the pedestal, and then on top there's going to be a big round walnut plywood piece. I've got a sheet of 1/2 inch MDF core walnuts I'm going to cut in half, sandwich together, and I'm going to put some edge banding around that to form the round table. So, working on this. While I'm here, my next project, after I've got done with the Archstock bookcase, is a Dillon designed waterfall nightstand. So, back with my veneering. So we've got two different kinds of veneer walnut that we're going to place on the doors. And then on the top, it's going to be mainly MDF with veneer, and then some walnut, I think. So going to get started on that next week. So let's go through to the finish room. So I got done staining this earlier. So I'm happy how the stain turned out, because I was a bit worried about with the plywood, the veneer, and then the hardwood, having it all blending together to be a uniform colour. So I used a Varathane gun stock on the cherry, which we've used this particular stain on various projects down the road. So I'm quite happy how it turned out. So tomorrow, after it's dried, I'm going to hit it with some lacquer, a couple of coats, and then that shall be done. So on to the next after that. So yeah.
Very good.
Over to Steve.
Hey
Where you going,
everybody,
Steve?
I'm cleaning out the spray gun. Well, I'm working on the tilt-out garbage can project.
Okay.
Yes, you heard me right. I don't pick them, I just build them. So basically we have this door that'll fit on here. We'll have a drawer, and there will be a bin that sits here, and there is no metal mechanism. It literally just hinges over this edge. There'll be a handle tilted out. There'll be a plastic bin that you can just lift out, shut the door, and conceal. So right now I'm just painting it with a latex color. Here's the drawer for up top. Here's you'll have a alder top that's been stained dark walnut, so that'll be about the only color on it. So,
Okay, thank you. Dillon?
All right. Let's go on a field trip to my office like we did last week. See the layer in which the projects are created in the computer. I know Mark talked a little bit about the project he'll be working on in mine is the waterfall nightstand. I went ahead and got some materials ordered for that. We order a lot of our veneer through a company called Veneer Supplies, family-owned company. They're really great. The day you order stuff, they get stuff packaged up and shipped out. Really high quality. They have a really diverse array of exotic and domestic woods, paperback and rawback veneer. A lot of supplies too for doing any sort of veneer application. So we've been really happy with them, and that's where I've got a couple of sheets. Mark talked about a couple of different types of walnut. We probably haven't landed on the exact veneer we're going to use, so I ordered two. I got some flat sawn stuff, which is actually really nice, and then I went ahead and got some curly walnut too, which is just really striking stuff. The way this is going to be oriented on the door, The graining is actually kind of running like a 45-degree angle, and there'll be basically block sections or pieces that are cut out that are going to create a larger panel. And so there'll be kind of this geometric pattern going on with the graining, the way we orient these, but along with the ribbon or the curly on this, I think it's going to look really sharp, if not kind of disorienting when you look at it in the end result. But either way, this stuff is really great, high quality. I'm still waiting on some glue. They do, I think it's 3 different shades of glue, so depending on the species you're working with, darker glue obviously would go a lot better with something like walnut. So if you get any bleed through with the glue, at least it's matching with the species of wood you have too. I went ahead and got some rollers for applying the veneer. The door is going to be an MDF core with hardwood edging, and then what Mark mentioned earlier, the top of the bookcase is going to be basically just built up MDF as well, and then we'll go ahead and apply the veneer to that, and then it'll be brought together with the 2 hardwood sides. Got some hardware, nothing too exciting. I usually try to consolidate things from a source just so it's easier for our readers to just order everything from one distributor. However, sometimes you just can't find exactly what you want. So I went ahead and got some stuff from Lee Valley. I personally have never used these shelf pin sleeves before. They look similar to some of the ones we've used. However, they're threaded on the interior. So the shelf pins themselves have threading on them. So you just go ahead and thread them into the insert, pre-drill your holes, pound those in with a rubber mallet, and then you can actually screw in the sleeves. I thought that was kind of slick. Plus it matches the hardware. I got a knob from Lee Valley as well, which is kind of an Art Deco knob. And then I'm a huge fan of Horton Brass, so I have some light antique hinges coming from them, 2-inch butt hinges. They just have very little, if no play in them. They're just built really well. And so I think for an heirloom project like this, they'll go really well. I know I talked about a model. I'm still working on getting some stuff together for that, so we'll talk about that next week. One other thing I did want to mention, as kind of a source of inspiration, I'm kind of a bibliophile, and also a voracious reader, but if it's not literature, I really like design books. And one of my favorites in a long list of furniture designers is Enzo Mari. He was an Italian industrial designer. Some of his stuff you may have seen if you have not heard of him. He had a very, very simplified philosophy and approach to woodworking, where he would basically create most of his pieces, at least the furniture pieces, were made out of store-bought like pine lumber, basically dimensional lumber. So all it really required you to do was basically cut your pieces aside. All of his joinery was nails, so he would just nail everything together. Kind of fascinating. He also designed a lot of products in the 20th century too that were sold for mass production and distribution. But anyway, I would become kind of infatuated with his furniture, and this is one of his chairs that he did that would have been nailed together. Again, it would have been a dimensional lumber. I kind of took a little bit more of a modern approach to it, since we use a lot of Baltic birch around here. And I've been kind of developing a special interest book around plywood seating. I went ahead and used Baltic birch for this. I went ahead and used some cut nails to nail a lot of the stuff together. And then I've kind of started to play around with, again, a way of kind of accentuating some of these really simplistic joints. So I went ahead and used some, I think these are 1/2 inch or 5/8 inch dowel rod as my joinery source on these. That way there's a little bit more of a visual element, and structurally they're really strong. This may have been antithetical to his philosophy, but I just kind of wanted to see what this thing looked like from a scale perspective and just see how comfortable it was. And hopefully it will maybe materialize into a project down the road. You never know. So that's what I'm working on right now, along with a lot of other projects. But I think we'll save any further Woodsmith projects. And then I know we've been talking about the French curves as well. I'm in the process of lacquering those, and we'll look at those next week too. We'll have the nice display box for them, and they'll be completely done finally. So that's all I have this week. Otherwise, I think we might head back into the shop.
Chris?
Hello everyone. I wanted to go ahead and show you what I've been up to. So let's head on back to the, I guess we call it the machine closet. Been doing the servicing of the compressor. All right, so we've been doing a little overhaul of the shop, little maintenance. I think Mark has been showing you a lot of the dust collection, rework that he's done to make our system more efficient. What we have in here is the 7.5 horsepower two-stage compressor, 80-gallon tank, and this powers our spray booth and of course the pneumatics, and we use a lot of compressed air just for blowing dust and that sort of thing. So a couple things I've been doing. One is I put a new belt on it. It's been about 10 years since I last replaced that belt, and it was starting to squeal every single time the machine started. And it was one of those things where, yeah, I could have tightened the motor, tightened the belt, but the belt was glazed on the sides and getting that kind of supple feel, so it was time for it to go. So, new belt. Second thing, we've got a small air filter up here. This is what that looks like. Needless to say, with a dust collection system in a workshop in this room, the filter does need to be replaced yearly. After that, the oil was replaced. What we use right up here is just it's a 30 weight compressor oil. Nothing too magical about it. Drain it, fill it back up to the height of the threads in the plug. And that is another yearly operation. One of the things that we do every week is drain the water from the tank, and that's what this valve is here. And of course I shut the thing off because I don't want it cycling right next to me because it's loud, 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 loud. But water vapor is a real problem within a compressor, especially when it's hooked up to a spray booth. So not only do we have to worry about it forming in the tank and getting rid of it there, we also, when this system was put in, it has a dryer for the air up top here. And so our air goes up through it before it goes to the piping back to the finish room and all the regulators. Currently, we're not using that. Time took its toll. And we're using a desiccant system within the spray booth, which is they're kind of like a bead. If you've ever seen those little packages that come in packaging sometimes that you get, it's kind of like that. So we replace that periodically, and that keeps the air going to our finish room nice and dry. So it's been a good system for us, but it does take a little upkeep. So all cleaned up, ready to go. Next thing I've been working on is using our CNC machine. So let's head on over there to that room. Hey, watch out for the vicious shop dog. So this, of course, is our Woodsmith CNC machine that Marc Hopkins built. And it really has been working well for us. Everything is tight, it is a good machine. What I've got here is a piece of 1-inch exterior MDF, and this is a sign, a house number sign, for our esteemed editor, Eric Loggy. So what I'm doing is leaving the letters proud, and we're cutting out the background. There are two operations to this. First thing I'm using is a 1/4-inch bit to get the bulk of the material out, and that's done. Next thing I'm going to do is change out the router bit to a 1/8-inch bit, and that 1/8-inch bit is going to go around and smooth out all these edges, and it gets in some of these little tight areas. But if I were to use a 1/8-inch bit exclusively, it'd work, but it would take about 12-14 hours. This took about 4 hours of cut time with the 1/4-inch bit. I could have used a larger bit, but you know what, I had sharp 1/4-inch bits and I had dull 1/2-inch bits, and I opted for the sharp bit. So once we get the lettering cleaned up, I'll swap out the 1/8-inch bit for the 1/4-inch, and we'll go ahead and cut the perimeter, leaving a nice 1/4-inch or 3/4-inch frame around the whole thing. And that's going to be a nice sign for Eric to paint up and hopefully enjoy. So this is the control screen here, Mach 3. And lots of buttons, lots of things that make it look complicated that you don't really need. All we really care about is the G code gets posted in here and runs past the screen as it operates. You got to start, you got to pause, you got to stop, and a reset. We've got some numbers here which indicate the position of the router. It's in its neutral position right now, so it's basically at a 0x, 0y, and a safe height which is programmed in, which is 0.2 inches for the Z to be up above the workpiece. And here you can see our numbers, and I realize it's flipped. That's because this machine, I have the X-axis running the long dimension. A lot of CNC machines are the other way, but because of the length, this makes more sense to me to have it be wide on the X. So it's been working great. Really happy to be using our Woodsmith machine, and that's kind of what I've been up to.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Follow me out.
All right, there you have it. Thanks for joining us for the shop update this week, special extended edition. And if you have any questions, comments, or smart remarks, you can put those in the comments section below, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.